Hey guys, welcome back to Pixel Taiyaki. I'm Axel Lazuli, and today I'm going to be talking about my completed reading of the first arc of One Piece, which is the East Blue arc. I'm going to go over a few things that struck me as really interesting, a few things that I was surprised by, and some differences that I spotted between the manga and the anime. Now, I spent the first 2 weeks of March reading through the first 12 volumes, and it was really freaking interesting. First of all, I couldn't believe that we didn't start with Luffy in the barrel. And I was really surprised that we saw Shanks so early on still. I was wondering if I was actually expecting more changes in the manga. By the time I got to the Baratier section of the East Blue arc and learned about Zeph when I was reading, I was like, where's all the changes? Like, I thought maybe there would be more changes in the manga, kind of like notable changes, but some things I really was surprised by in the manga that struck me were the question corners. I loved hearing what Oda had to say throughout his creative process, and I also loved the chapter images before each chapter depicting the story of Buggy. I thought that was actually really cleverly well done, versus in the anime they made it like its whole own little section of the story. So I was surprised to see that being told through the chapter headers before each chapter, like the pre-reading of each chapter. It was delightful. Like, it was really just, for me, it was a whole different way of characterizing that we don't get in the anime. That alone made it worth it for me. That and the SBS. I couldn't believe that the SBS corners just added so much to me. Like, that was probably my biggest motivation to keep reading, was to hear what Oda had to say about his own creative process, or the way he answered certain readers' questions, like when they were interacting, his own readers were interacting in the question corner, like taking over the SBS, or when they wanted to know Nami's numbers, when they wanted to know like Nami's measurements. I was like, really? Really? And then having Nami basically say, I'm gonna kick your ass if you say anything. So actually watching him interact with his characters and interacting with the readers was really rewarding. I loved that the most. I just have to say, the way he writes about the characters and then draws them doing different things that have nothing to do with the story, it's honestly refreshing. It's like a little break as you're reading that just gives you a chance to put into perspective what if the characters were put into this situation, what if the characters were on an island and there were all these big animals. I mean, of course Axel would remember the panel with the fluffy animals, but like when I actually got to see the work in the color walk too with the fluffy animals, I was like, yes, look at all these fun fluffy animals. So in terms of analysis, I think what was really effective about the characterization was the fact that you got to see the characters doing different things that's totally unrelated to the story, and that's hard to depict in other media. That's hard to depict in anything like a novel per se, or especially in an anime where you got basically 20 minutes without commercials to just keep going. So to depict the characters doing anything else that's not story related is not exactly a conducive use of money, especially because when you sit down to watch a TV show, you're there for just that story. It doesn't really give you a chance to really absorb what's going on, at least in my experience, the way the manga did. I loved the way the manga slowed things down for me as I was reading and really allowed me to sit with the story moments panel by panel as things are happening. It added a lot of dramatic tension with each flip of the page, which for me really made the characterization of certain moments more effective and almost more potent than when I saw them in the anime. For example, when we saw in the manga the fact that Zeph had to basically commit self-cannibalism, to me it was a lot. It was a lot. I mean, it was a lot. Like, there in that moment, it was far more impacting than when in the anime it was more like cotton candy. It was there and then gone. I didn't really have to sit and simmer with it. But with the manga, you're really left to simmer with certain moments, especially as they're building up. The pacing really lends itself to the characterization of Sanji leaving, and when Arlong was having the fight with Luffy, that was probably like my biggest favorite thing about reading the manga, was the fact that I got to see these fights panel by panel. So instead of it just being boom, 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 like, and then done, I got to actually see the building collapsing as it was collapsing. Like, really, panel by panel, you see the buildup of the fight and then the culmination with the building just. So, yeah, it's sure, it happens in the anime too, but what I loved about the pacing with the characterization is I also got more dialogue between the characters that wasn't otherwise really covered in the anime, or was conveyed in a different way that wasn't necessarily, oh, let me sit with these characters for a moment as they're having this conversation. And I really felt like that was most true between Nami and the fishmen. Like, I got to actually see, I felt like I got a lot more of Nami and dialogue with Nami and her village, and Nami with the fishmen, or the fishmen with each other. I felt like I got a lot more during the Arlong Park arc than I actually got to see in the anime. And of course, the manga only takes one quick panel to depict that, so it's a lot more feasible to have those little moments in the manga versus the anime. Again, has that 20-minute time constraint it has to stick with, so the story must keep going. So I know why not every little moment was put in the anime, but to actually get to see that and savor it, I guess that's the best word I could tell you with my experience for the first arc of the manga versus what I've watched of the anime so far. The big word, the big buzzword would be savory. I really got to savor the little moments and characterization between the characters through the dialogue, through the art that depicts them doing different things, because you can still see they're in character, even if you put them on a different island full of animals, or you've got Sanji cooking and making desserts and pastries that he, so far as I've seen in the anime, or in the manga thus far, he hasn't really made. Like, actually getting to see him make this full buffet, it's very much in character. So the manga has different lenses with which we get to see these characters, from the way they interact with the readers in the SBS to the way these small moments in the pre-chapter images get to depict them, even to the cover art. Like, that's all stuff that is not, there's no way to have that included in the anime. So it's all stuff that's otherwise not a part of the anime that really added to the experience for me and made it a very rewarding read through. I loved reading through the first arc. I'm really looking forward to more, and I would love to hear what your guys' impressions are if you've read the manga so far. What were some of the biggest takeaways for you guys if you're reading the manga, and the differences between the anime and the manga? I've loved reading the manga. I'm looking forward to reading the next arc very soon. In fact, I can't like read through it fast enough. So I'm looking forward to more. And I'm looking forward especially to seeing more of the combat scenes and the way those are drawn and depicted in the manga by Oda himself. And I also just feel closer to the source material now. So let me know down below if you've read the manga, what's your favorite volume between the first, 1 through 12, and maybe describe your favorite panel for me. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!